and welcome to Eco Africa, the environmental magazine co-produced by NTV in Uganda, Channels TV in Nigeria and DW in Germany. I am Sandra Twinobio, and with me today, as always, is my co-presenter Chris Elams, all the way from Nigeria. Hi Chris, how are you today?
Just fine, Sandra. Thank you very much. And a warm welcome to all you viewers out there. We have a lot in store for you on today's program, so let's take a quick look at what we have coming up. How the gold mining sector in Ghana is adopting more sustainable practices. How pigs in Britain are helping farmers plow their fields. And how former poachers in Cameroon have turned into conservationists. It's hard, dirty and dangerous work, and the pay is unreliable. Some 1 million people in Ghana work in artisanal gold mines, hoping to find a nugget that will change their life. But these miles come at a huge cost to both their health and the environment. Around 30,000 hectares of forest have been lost to them. It's hard to undo the damage caused, but there are efforts underway to make artisanal mining more sustainable.
These men and women are hoping to strike gold, big time. Thousands of them sifting through soil by rivers and in forests, often illegally, leaving behind vast craters and piles of slurry where nothing grows. For most, there's no alternative. Jobs are scarce. We're concerned about the impact of our activities on the environment, but we can't afford heavy machines to mine in a better way. You need a lot of investment to buy proper equipment to mine responsibly. This is the best we can do under the circumstances. It's hard, dirty, dangerous work. The noise and fumes make the gold diggers sick. Each day they wash tons of soil hoping to extract gold deposits. The runoff is often contaminated with toxic heavy metals, which also endanger the health of people who live many kilometers away from the mines.
The situation is dire. It's, you go and you see what has happened. It's quite worrying because, and we see it. I mean, the Ghana Water Company has complained that the cost of producing water in a quality that is potable keeps going up because of the impact of mining.
The operators of small-scale mines often can't afford to use more environmentally friendly methods. Middlemen often pay less for smaller amounts of gold. The big mining companies are the ones who make the big dollars. Many mines are illegal, where operators don't pay for permits or use bribes. To help combat the destructive consequences of gold mining, the international NGO network Solidaridad launched a program in Ghana in 2012. It aims to improve working conditions and to protect the environment. The NGO carries out training sessions at the Ebel mine in the country's western region.
We do capacity building programs in, let's say, health and safety, environmental management, good labor conditions.
The NGO has already made big strides. Some former pits have been refilled and restored to their natural state. More are to follow. Currently, they're working together with a total of 45 gold-digging communities and more than 30 small-scale mines in western Ghana and the Ashanti region. Clear rules were established for everyone working in the mines. As mercury is used for extracting gold, workers have to wear protective gear to avoid getting organ damage from the toxic heavy metal. We've been taught that before you go mining, you have to put on the right apparel, the appropriate footwear, and all the protective equipment needed to handle chemicals and equipment. We've been empowered. So if I don't have this protective clothing on, I can't go onto the field to mine. Protective gear is only one thing, but not to have to go into the mine at all would be even better. That's why the program is mainly targeting women. They're taught to find new income possibilities. I have skills now to produce soap, so I don't spend money on these kinds of products. And with what I earn, I'm able to support my family and my husband. He now respects me and appreciates my contribution. Solidaridad has big plans as there are thousands of small mines in Ghana. The country is one of the largest gold exporters in Africa. And there are a lot of mine operators who would like to change things for the better.
We have a more advanced technology these days to do things right. So why don't we do it right? Thinking about our generation and posterity to come and also utilize the land that we have, because we have only one earth, one land, and there is nothing we can do than to protect it for the future generations.
But new mines continue to open in Ghana, driven by the dream of becoming rich quickly. It will take generations to repair the damage.
Whoa! Making gold mining a greener industry is a huge challenge. But in the long run, communities and the planet will benefit. And obviously, the best option is to prevent the environmental damage in the first place.
That is right, Chris. In the Tunisian capital, Tunis, for instance, there is a lagoon that is threatened by uncontrolled urban growth and waste disposal. The authorities now have a plan to remedy the situation, but environmentalists are not entirely convinced.
A place of natural beauty and a dump site. The Sijumi Lagoon in Tunis is both. Buildings have gone up around much of it, including 2 entire new commercial districts on adjacent marshes. The wetlands risk being swallowed up by the city. Sijumi is also being devastated by sewage and the vast amounts of waste dumped in the water. Nadia Guider heads a government project to restore and develop the lake.
People deposit stuff in the lagoon all the time, so it's shrinking. Construction rubble, wild dumping. If we do nothing, it will disappear.
That would be a disaster, because the lagoon is needed to help prevent flooding and because more than 100,000 migratory birds spend the winter there. Environmentalists say the government plan is flawed, in detail, if not in general.
Our association, Friends of Birds, is not against the development project in principle, but we are against the particular plan that has been accepted by the authorities. It doesn't take into account the specific ecological features of the site.
The plan involves deepening the lagoon. Conservationists say that is problematic because it would put some resident animals at a disadvantage.
This will allow certain ducks to feed, the ones that can dive. But the ones that remain on the surface will no longer be able to find food. So they won't stay here in the wetland. Nor will waders, such as pink flamingos.
The lagoon is important for a range of reasons. It is one of the few bodies of water here that doesn't dry out in summer, so it's a refuge for wildlife. To reduce the risk of flooding, it needs to be cleared of trash, if not expanded. Wetlands can lessen the impact of climatic events such as floods, droughts, and storms.
By preserving wetlands, we will minimize the severity of these phenomena in the future. And in that way, we will not only protect the wetlands, but also the people living around them.
Sijumi is considered one of the most important wetlands in North Africa. Action must be taken soon if it is not to be lost to the people and wildlife of the area.
Leaving nature untouched or taming it, in Britain, the trend has long been the latter. Britain is a country of tidy lawns and landscaped gardens. At least that is what some Brits might have you believe. But more and more of them are letting their lawns grow wild. Now, one landowner in eastern England has enlisted help from an unexpected quarter.
These large blacks, as they are called, are allowed to dig around in the ground almost anywhere on the Somerleyton estate in the east of England. acting as a secret weapon of sorts for the estate owner and farmer, Lord Somerleyton.
They're very efficient. You can afford to have quite a lot of pigs for quite a short time to get to essentially to plough the ground, to allow open space for new seeds.
Lord Somerleyton's estate spans over 20 square kilometres, and he calls the mansion home. The adjacent park provides space for all the animals to roam freely. Far from the stereotypical English lawn, the estate owner is allowing nature to completely reclaim on 1/5 of his property. His father also ran a farm, but of the conventional sort, where it would have been unthinkable for cows and pigs to wander right up to the doorstep.
I've always been very keen on nature and sort of wanting to do things better. And my dad particularly found it very frustrating. He had this sort of almost a Victorian hangover of tidiness. And so we clashed a bit on that.
Lord Somerleyton's pigs are slaughtered, but at the same time they also help conserve nature by lending greater biodiversity to the forest. A fern species had run rampant there for centuries, and the pigs can help keep it in check.
In order to stimulate the soil and to stimulate the seed bed, the floral seed bed underneath here, we need to disrupt bracken.
As soon as they've completed their task, the pigs have to leave the forest again.
If you just have pigs, you'll only have this, and that's a disaster of a different kind. So one has to control. So rewilding is a great term, but in a sense it's farming. So we're always tinkering to try and keep the balance right between different species to try and get the perfect sort of mosaic of habitats, to get the most biodiverse environment. It's temporary.
Lord Somerleyton and those who share his convictions try to win over their neighbours. Most nearby farmers are sceptical.
Tradition isn't after the acorns.
A lot of people resist change at the best of times, particularly traditional farmers, and rewilding is certainly nothing new in that respect. It's almost seen as a fad, if you know what I mean. So, there's a lot of people that aren't very keen on it, but hopefully we'll win them round eventually. Hopefully.
Lord Somerleyton doesn't agree that only wealthy landowners can afford to conserve nature, and sees himself as a pioneer venturing down new paths. But he is convinced everyone will need to rethink things and has already found 200 associates. They include a few farmers and neighbourhood initiatives, as well as the nearby Warren School for children with disabilities such as autism.
The Brits were incredibly good farmers and gardeners, but that tends to mean tidying stuff up and managing everything. So this would be a great example of this, whether this is a school playing field or whether it's a public park. That's kind of the typical management for the last 50 years, and this is a pioneer, but it's a sort of new form of management.
This garden, meant to stimulate the senses, is largely left to nature. Lord Somerleyton says finding a bond with nature is an experience that as many people as possible should benefit from, and he wishes to transform the over 100 square kilometres of neighbouring marshland into a nature park attracting eco-tourists.
I'm already in that space. I'm already halfway there. I'm imagining pelicans and storks and white-tailed eagles kind of working up and down this river valley, but still with cattle and with farming systems, but they'd have to be gentler.
But first he has to persuade his neighbours, because pigs roaming free on the property really is too much for most farmers.
Now back to Africa. In Uganda, almost half of the population lives in cities, many of them in informal settlements. In the slums of Kampala, for example, there is hardly any space left. There are no green areas and thousands of people live in tight quarters in unhygienic conditions. Now, residents often do not know what to do with their trash or their sewage. Fortunately, an innovative young Ugandan has come up with a clever solution.
Everything is scarce in Kamwokia, one of Kampala's largest slums. Sanitary infrastructure, schools, running fresh water, and above all, jobs. A US NGO has now founded a lab with some of Kamwokia's young people aimed at getting them into work. Patrick Majuzi is one of them. He's built a toilet that everyone can use, but it's not your standard toilet.
This toilet is called the Compost Toilet. It doesn't require us to dig from ground. Our receptor is a bucket, and we have sawdust as the content that we only use inside this toilet to absorb and absorb all the bad bacteria.
It's especially difficult for women who have no toilet access. Before the situation was very bad, we used to pay to use public toilets, and sometimes we would use plastic bags and throw the waste into the drainage channels. Patrick Majuzi has built 2 free public toilets for his community. About 60 people use this one on a single day, and that fills the bucket up quite fast. The waste is used as a resource for making 1 ton of organic fertilizers per year.
From here, we keep it safe. After a year or 8 months, it depends on the temperatures in that period. It will be down and everything will be soil, black soil.
Patrick Majuzi says once the organic matter has decomposed, it's ready for the farm. Organic farmer John Mugisha is a regular buyer of the manure. It's good value for him. Since I started using this organic manure, it has improved the yields on my farm. If you see the banana plants, they look good compared to those where we did not apply the fertilizers. It does not spoil the soil like the chemical fertilizers, which often kill soil microorganisms and worms. The Ghetto Research Lab aims at skilling the youth to tackle social problems. The toilet project is just one idea. Another project constructs houses out of plastic bottles. More than 30 of Patrick Majuzi's former trainees have built their own compost toilets and are now growing crops with organic fertilizers for the neighborhood.
Sharing the knowledge I have with them gives them a chance to uplift themselves by applying what we share with them. And I feel I can also add something on the development of my country, especially to the youths who are unemployed in the slums.
Patrick Majuzi also collects organic waste from streets and dump sites for decomposing. Authorities say that while his work is a drop in the ocean, it's a move in the right direction towards managing the city's waste and hygiene problems. Only 14 of Kampala's public toilets are free of charge. It costs to use the other 800. That, in a city of 3 million people. The city is overwhelmed by the task and grateful for the NGO's involvement.
They have been helping us to correct it, and after correcting it, they do something which is good from that waste management. We still need more.
Uganda is already one of Africa's leading exporters of coffee and other organic products. So, on a larger scale, manure from human waste could boost those sectors here, but there's still a long way to go. Patrick Majuzi hopes, most of all, that his idea will create jobs and income for small-scale farmers while improving community hygiene in poor neighborhoods.
Now let us go from the big city back to nature, to the Ebel forest in Cameroon to be exact. As one of the world's biggest rainforests, it is a hotbed of biodiversity.
That's right, Sandra. The biodiverse forest system is a refuge for a number of endangered species. Deforestation and poaching pose a threat to these unique habitats. But there is hope. The Gorilla Guardian clubs are fighting back.
This rainforest can only be reached on foot. Jean Titir and the Ebel Forest Research Project team are on the lookout for rare primates.
Oh, look, that's a gorilla's nest. They usually build them on the ground. After their evening meal, they make themselves a place to sleep. We have 11 primate species here, including gorillas, chimpanzees, drills, and Preuss's red colobus monkeys.
The primates are in high demand with poachers who can sell them as bushmeat. Jean Titir also used to make his living that way. But for most of the last 10 years, he's only studied their tracks to find out which animals are traveling where in the forest. He lives in Ibuti, on the edge of Ebel Forest, one of the 3 villages that are taking part in the project.
I have grasped what impact poaching has And anyway, it's not really a profitable business. Okay, yes, you can earn a bit, but the income is very irregular. That's why I decided to stop hunting.
Usually now, he only gets to see the animals in video footage. The researchers have set up 17 trial cameras in the part of the forest where gorillas live. Besides chimpanzees and gorillas, these forest elephants are also threatened with extinction. And the extremely shy drills are particularly at risk. The Ebel Forest Research Project was set up by the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, which supports primate conservation. It's been collaborating with the villagers for more than 10 years. Many of them used to be poachers. Now they've learned to collect data on the animals or set up camera traps. Anyone who wants to take part must join a Gorilla Guardian Club. Then they get paid for their work.
We have to thin out the clearing a bit so the camera isn't obstructed.
Once a month, the team spends a few days venturing deep into the rainforest. They use compasses and GPS to find their way. Marcel Ketchen has been part of the team for 9 years. The environmental scientist records precisely where each animal trail is found. What's particularly interesting are the movements of the around 25 gorillas that were discovered here in 2002. Up to then, there were only 2 known gorilla subspecies in Cameroon, one group living south of the Sanaga River and another hundreds of kilometers away to the north.
So the reason why we are collecting these samples is to do some genetic analysis to find out how related the gorillas of Ebel are to those found south of the Sanaga and the Cross River gorillas. It's very significant. And if these analyses are finally come to a conclusion, we might realize that in Cameroon, instead of having 2 subspecies of gorillas, we might be having a 3rd one.
Ebel Forest in southwestern Cameroon covers an area of almost 1,500 square kilometers and borders on Nigeria. It is part of a large rainforest region, the 2nd largest worldwide after the Amazon in Brazil. To protect the rainforest in the future, the project aims to include the residents of the more than 40 villages surrounding the forest. The 3 villages taking part in the project so far all have a Gorilla Guardians Club. To enable the residents to feed their families without having to resort to poaching, they can join the local club. Here they get help to buy livestock or plant vegetables or cocoa. Like here in Iboti, there is a small school in the other 2 villages on the edge of the forest. The teachers receive training from the scientists, and protecting the forest and its animals has become a fixture of the curriculum.
What kind of animal is that?
A gorilla, ma'am.
The idea is to raise awareness about the topic among the youngest villagers.
What I like about the course is the gorillas. They are like people. And what I learned is that hunting isn't good because animals are like people.
The project has made many of the villagers see the forest with different eyes. Like Jean Titil, some 90% of the one-time poachers have become farmers. And that's what the children see while they grow up. But the Gorilla Guardians clubs don't want things to stop there.
We want a no-go zone to be created, in which the measures to guarantee the survival of the gorillas are respected, because the species is in danger of extinction.
That's why he only takes his children to the edge of the forest.
Look here, this trail. What animal left that trail? A porcupine.
He wants his children to know about animals, but he also wants them to know when to leave the forest to its inhabitants.
I hope this edition of the show convinced you of the importance of caring for our environment. Hopefully it's inspired you to rethink the value of our precious natural resources. And I hope you found our mixture of topics as interesting as I did. For now, goodbye from me, Chris Elems in Lagos, Nigeria.
And from me too, Sandra Twinobdio here in Kampala. I hope you join us next week for Eco Africa, the environmental show featuring topics from Africa and Europe. Till then, take care, stay safe, and bye-bye.